Happy New Year! New Year. Yeah.
Life is pain!
Why the hell am I releasing a video on 2023 games?
When the year's about to goddamn end?
Well, after Adobe pulled a very funny prank where it deleted this and other projects multiple times, and my laptop GPU fulfilling its dream of becoming a toaster oven, I was demotivated, to put it lightly. But with late stage brain rot, I must yap about games. Yep, and tear until it is done. So let's get these out of the way. Some sick cult leader brainwashed the masses into fragging every Friday for the blood gods. It's kind of fun, to be honest. If I knew Quick Champions was just scrounging around an arena to get little goodies, I would have bunny hopped to it faster. I, for whatever reason, thought it was a good idea to start New Vegas while I was working on this project, and that probably delayed it by a good 2 months. Went and played every single New Blood published game, and no surprise, it's one of the most consistent, varied, bang for your buck catalogs in the industry. And don't sleep on their lesser known games either. Genuinely did not have a low point. Moving on to honorable mentions, I wanted to shout out this lovely tribute map made in Doom. Only takes 10 minutes to... Oh, missed that. Takes 10 minutes to finish up, so if you want to see recreations of a late friend's house... the hell?
2 hours later.
Sunset Shuffle was a cute little poker game about a crew of animals, their criminal pasts, one of the evilest healthcare practices ever invented. Thank you, Reagan. I didn't put much time into fighting games recently, but Street Fighter 6 was still fun at a novice level, and I know it would be great to learn. And even if I don't, I would still log in to throw more raw level 3s.
You ain't from Michigan if you've never done this before.
Revisited Fortnite after dropping it in the first few seasons. It's still the gamer Cocomelon that I remember, but the drip feed of new content and the quality of life changes over the years made it a pretty enjoyable time waster. And the next season looks really cool.
Aw, dang it.
I mean, the aesthetic looks really cool.
Aw, dang it.
Well, at least there's a next season.
Fortnite is now part of the Disney family. Orange is so excited to spend more money.
Vernal Edge was a Metroidvania with a cool combo-based fighting system you could juggle enemies with. Finba has the honor of being the only game in this video that made me cry. The indie short film turned video game about immigrants passing on their family recipes. That one, a game that would definitely made it high up on the list if I had given it more time, was Liza P. Fantastic Souls-like, I'll check out once this video is fucking finished. And to stop the list being bloated with roguelikes, Crab Champions and Risk of Rain Returns will be omitted, but both are great. Now there are only 2 on the list. 3? 2.5. While I really enjoy games with Metroidvania elements, full-on Metroidvanias always bounced off of me. I tried Hollow Knight, some Metroids. I think the only one I fully completed was Guacamelee 2 of all things. But due to my ADHD-ass attention span having to remember where some random wall is, I need to knock down 4 hours later once I unlocked the correct skill was too much for me most of the time. I think the main reason why Pseudo Regalia kept me around was a lot of the skills needed to unlock certain areas were movement-based. This not only meant as you got more abilities, it felt more free-form to go around the map, but sometimes you don't need an ability to get to a certain place. I think the biggest example I have of this is I was trapped in this little area with poison water at the bottom, and I was trying my best to get onto the other side. And when I finally did, it felt amazing. And I realized I didn't have the ability to trivialize this whole challenge, and I felt like an idiot. The most shocking thing that Pseudo Regalia did was, at least on launch, there was no map.
Wait, no map, no map, no map, no map, no map!
This was a standard in every Metroidvania I've played before. Yet, I didn't really miss it that much. Thanks to it being a relatively smaller world and the whole game revolving around traversing the map anyway, it didn't feel like a slog. Though bear in mind it is still pretty easy to get lost, where most rooms have a very similar aesthetic from one another, so it's hard to make certain landmarks stick out in your mind. That and the phenomenon of missing the one power-up you need to explore the rest of the map, and then when you finally give up and look up a guide, it's just in a corner that you missed for no real reason. All in all, this was a Metroidvania with which not the biggest fan of the genre. I had a great time. It takes about 4 hours to complete, but it's my favorite type of replayability, where there are time trials, and you get to test yourself on how fast you can rerun through the game. This game is cheaper than most Fortnite skins, give it a shot. I actually don't remember buying this. It kind of just showed up in my library one day and I saw the roguelike tag and I was like, I guess I like this. If it wasn't for the top spot of this list, this would have been my favorite looking game of this year. Gorgeous hand-drawn animation. Each frame has so much personality behind it. It also has a very French sense of humor. If you watch any French-based animation, you'll know what I mean. This is a death-based corporation and it is not afraid to get hilariously morbid with it. Hand also has my favorite movement in a roguelike I've experienced so far. Not just because it's fast and each move flows into the next, but the movement changes run to run, depending on which scythe you choose and what cloak weapons you get. So it'll be a slow heavy hitter one run or a nimble glass cannon the next. This game is balanced in my favorite way possible. You hit like a truck, but so do your enemies. I love roguelikes where even if you have a broken build, it's still on you to survive. Though, if you want to defeat the true final boss, it's pretty much required that you use a scythe-only build due to it nerfing everything except that. Hand is a damn fine roguelike, but it does do that dumb roguelike thing where it doesn't tell you a dang thing when you first start and lets you figure it out on your own or look it up on a wiki. Lastly, I'm one of those sick fucks who 100% roguelikes, and have a nice death with a really fun one to go through. I even went through every difficulty and found it a great time. Until I found out about the employee handbook. So you unlock cute little descriptions for all the weapons when you do a certain requirement. Not bad, right? Well, wrong, because this includes legendary items. I have put in a little under 50 hours, and I've seen legendaries maybe like 3 times. And the little system of, oh, you haven't gotten this one yet? You can pay 5 soul coins to have it spawn in the next run. No, you just have to pray to RNGesus himself if you want to get it. It just sits there and taunts you. I'm running out of energy. Play the game if you like roguelikes. Okay, bye. I really thought this was going to be Streamer Game of the Week, but it's not only staying relevant and popular, it's just an overall fun game. It pioneered a whole new genre of comedy horror games. It outsold Call of Duty.
You didn't choose you on a fucking pizza!
The secret sauce is definitely the proximity chat. At first, it's just a source of funny moments.
Nick, I went the other way. Classic.
That's good. But not having an easy source of interaction with the other players while danger is lurking around really adds to the uneasy, ominous atmosphere. And when you know you are truly alone, it's comedy horror for a reason. That being said, it definitely loses that scare factor as you play more, become more familiar with the layout, and gain more tools to fight back against the monsters. But it never stops being fun, by giving each monster unique ways to deal with them, rather than it all boiling down to hit Batman with shovel till no more moves. Even on your 100th shift, it can still feel like a new experience. It's still a social game at heart though, so mileage may vary depending on your friend group. I don't think anyone will argue that the best way to play Lethal Company is going at it solo, unless you're like a speedrunner dashing around on Mach 5. With the constant updates from the one developer, holy shit, and mods from the community, this company ain't going under anytime soon. Even if you skip down on this thinking it's one note, get a couple of your buds to sign on and make yourself a great asset today! What does that sound?
What the fuck you say? Run! There's something worse!
Alright, I'm going to sacrifice myself. Beat it off my head.
I don't have a shovel.
I don't know how to... Guys, check this out!
Run! Get out of here! Go!
A fun part about making a video this late is some of the entries on this list get some posthumous praise. Okay, but seriously, Wizard with a Gun was an indie game that hooked me from its first trailer just on vibes alone. Then on release, my most anticipated game of the year became the game I have the most mixed feelings on. It could have been a personal 10 out of 10 for me, but after all was said and done, it left me feeling
a decent to strong 8 on this one.
It's a more linear experience than most open world survival games, restricting you to only the sections of the map you unlock so far. And once you defeat the boss of the area, letting you go on to the next. But for me, that is a big positive. Open world survival games sometimes give me choice anxiety on where to go, and what I should be building towards. But having checkpoints in the world, and a clear-cut boss to be working towards, gives me more focus and drive to collect and explore throughout the map. This unfortunately comes with the downside that because early sections of the map don't scale with your level, if you ever go back for region-specific resources, you may find it a bit easy.
I don't much like the tone of your voice.
The soundtrack was such a mood setter for each Gungeoneering session. Perfectly gets the old western magical world down in each track. Though, side note, a big thing that brought me and a lot of others into the game were the stellar vocals from the real trailer. They really put a bow on everything. But in the main soundtrack, there are only 4 tracks with vocals, and none are played in the main campaign. Maybe plans fell through or they wanted a more lone wanderer vibe, going through the shattered sky. But damn, I feel like if they leaned more into that, it would have been a highlight. Other small things like a lack of weapon variety, more enemies throughout the map, and just more content in general, were remedied by post-launch updates. Which means in a few years' time, this could be the perfect open world survival. Oh no, the game industry is collapsing in on itself. Support indies. In the end, the way I felt towards the Wizard with a Gun is very similar to the way I felt about Cult of the Lamb. I saw some issues and nitpicks that held back the game from being perfect. Still got sucked in for hours at a time, and I consider both some of my favorites. It may not have hit its true potential, but damn if it isn't fun.
With a howling storm and a raging fire, I'll see it through this fool desire. It's a hope that feeds this funeral pyre, but I bury it in mine. The hammer coming down with a heavy sound, and the hammer coming down with a heavy sound, and the hammer coming down with a heavy sound. Wander, oh wander, no reason to stay. Go yonder, your fears cast away. A home of breath and bone, so they say.
It's your boy, XX underscore, orange number Wayne, X. Today I'm back with another, video game review. I have never seen graphics as detailed and as good as these in my entire life. The gameplay is really fast and really hard. The storyline is also really touching. It has a lot of drama, death, heartbreak. I want to thank all the cool people who made this game, but I have exclusive interviews with some of the voice actors, so other can talk.
Thank God the game's release button pumped up Seepage's album sales. My Bunko Pops fund almost ran dry. These things complete me. Oh, oh god, these are load-bearing figures. Oh god, it's coming down! Feel my mama love!
Oh, really glad Zane finally got around to finishing his dream project. That makes one of us. Excuse me. Justin! What is this milkshake on the floor? Yeah, no, yeah. You think I'm not seeing you try to sneak away from your goddamn break? No, clean up your fucking mess! Heckin', sorry. I'm sorry. Was there anything else you needed? Are you good? Alright, great. Bye.
What I don't get is that I'm Gabrielle Ultrakill. I am the boomer shooter guy. But I got picked last, like I'm back in middle school dodgeball. And when I finally get on the team, I don't get a damn script. Yeah, keep honking, that'll make the traffic. I'm gonna break something.
Thank you to the voice actors for the interviews, and sorry to all of the other people in your phone book with the same names I called before. Make sure to rate 5 stars and subscribe. My goal is to hit double digits by the end of the year. Thank you for buying. I fucking can't.
Okay, but for real, Layers X is a great expansion in the Hypnospace universe, and brought me back to my personal nostalgia era. Cringe-ass middle school, I just listened to the new Linkin Park album and making it my personality part of my life. It always felt it was celebrating that era instead of making fun of it. And it puts a lot of effort into capturing and recreating that era with things like its end screen art and its low poly and very ambitious cutscenes. And the game itself is great, but it also tells us a lot about the in-universe creator Zane's life. His process making the game, the reasoning behind why he's making it as of now, his relationships with others. The game was so immersive that by the end, I really did believe that Zane himself made this. I guess the most unbelievable thing is someone who would use this much time on a passion project. I mean, come on. I started playing video games around the 7th generation, Wii, 360, all that. Ever since, I've experienced this painful phenomenon online of hearing about these supposed peak games just a generation or two before. And without easy access or re-releases, I just had to shake my head and say, yeah, I bet. All this to say, I have not played Jet Set Radio. But that's what makes games like Bomb Rush Cyberpunk interesting to me. Instead of seeing all the inspiration, seeing where it differs and evolves from the original, I get to experience it with fresh eyes without any preconceptions with what the game should be. What I got was a damn amazing game with just like 1 or 2 itty bitty things holding it back for me. The strongest aspect of the game is, of course, the soundtrack. Like, holy shit, easily best soundtrack out of any of these contenders. The core movement and tagging gameplay is also super tight. It's really easy to just zone out and see how high of a score you can get. One of the last things I expected out of this game was the surprisingly compelling story. I got pretty invested in Red's journey and learning more about New Amsterdam's past. There is also a lot of world building based on music and dance culture. Each of the crews have unique dance styles, and their aesthetics match their music genres. The overseers over turf battles in the city are the old heads. My personal favorite sections of the game are the Super Mario Galaxy-ass dream levels. Them being set in Red memories let the level designers go wild with mind-twisting paths and trippy visuals. The only thing that doesn't really click for me in the core gameplay is the combat. It really just boils down to button mashing until they decide to leave, but it does get a bit more interesting once they introduce more complex obstacles to dispatch. The main issue I have with BRC is that, well, the micro game design, the movement, tagging, combo system, all that is really great, but the macro game design, the rep system and challenges falls a little flat. There are limited varieties of challenges the rival crews give you, and it gets a little repetitive. Not bad, just after I'm asked to repeat a sick combo for the 4th time, it starts to lose its charm. Regardless, I still had a blast with BRC. and can easily see why it had so much hype behind it. Just one of those games where you can feel the fun and passion the developers had while they were making it. Computer, look up BRC speedrunning terms.
Oh!
Look, roguelikes make up some of my favorite games of all time, but even I have to admit most roguelike runs start really slow. Waiting for the fun part, like 10 minutes in. I love these games. They just take a bit to get going. But RoboQuest starts like this. Fuck. When roguelikes have multiple characters, they fit into one of two camps. Pretty much default Dan with some minor changes, or a genuine change of pace. What RoboQuest does to easily fit into the second camp is that not only does each class have unique abilities and passives, but their upgrade trees are completely different from one another. With Guardian, you can build around your bubble shield, being almost exclusively invulnerable late game, while Engineer could have an army of drones dealing elemental damage and taking the aggro off you. The actual weaponry you wield is no afterthought either. There are Borderlands levels of variety here. But unlike Borderlands, you aren't forced to drop a weapon after a while due to it being outclassed. If you like a weapon, you can just upgrade it to keep it viable for later levels. You'll need all the game will give you, because this is one of the hardest roguelikes I've ever played. What you're looking at right now is the invulnerable pilled build on standard difficulty. Standard. And it still threw enough hordes of bad bots to bring me down. Why did I put a tongue twister if I was going to read it out loud? RoboQuest also has one of the best co-op balancing in any roguelike I've played. And getting co-op right in a roguelike is frustratingly rare. Most of the time, the devs add a second player and make the two characters have a shared loot pool, giving each player half the loot they would have in a regular run. Oh, nice.
Eat shit and die!
But in RoboQuest, they allow each player to have their own loot drops, levels, and shops, and still adjust enemies and bosses where you still feel much more powerful than you would alone. But both of you need to be on top of your game if you want to make it far.
You have 2 health, you can res me.
Yeah, you're right. Oh. I guess for not downsides, but could have been stronger. The story is fine. It ain't no Hades, but it's enough to keep you motivated to keep going towards the end game. I think it does a great job of giving just enough pushback where you can't no-brain your way through runs, with some exceptions.
Leave me alone!
If I wasn't trapped in editing limbo, probably would have put down hundreds of more hours into this. Where you can't no-brain your way through runs, with some
What?
where you can't no-brain your way.
No brain? I hate myself.
Hey, I'm here with Alan Wake. I'm not sure what all the hype is about. It was kind of a bait and switch. Thought I was playing a horror game. No, wait. Okay, wait, I think I clicked the wrong game. Fucking Alan Wake 2, the game that melted my GPU and doubled the production time on this video. And unfortunately, it was worth it, I think. That being said, I fully forgive this game due to its completely batshit story. It loops back in on itself, and random items and motifs that don't make sense before have crazy payoffs. I saw a twist coming like 2 hours before it happened, but then like at the big finale, fucking Sam Lake handed me an asterisk the size of Jupiter. I can't spoil this game, because even if I tried, the context behind every single plot point, multiple Google documents would be needed.
I'm not Alex Casey.
I only play him in the movies.
Like most other people, I heard about this game through its weird-ass musical segments in the Game Awards, and I was like, alright, I guess I'll try it out. But playing it in-game is something else, man. Truly worth the price of admission just from that. As for the gameplay, yeah, it's Resident Evil. The guns feel fun and strong. Just wish there were more enemies to shoot at and more variety of them. I think that's why the musical segments are everyone's favorites. They're mini gauntlets to face against a bunch of enemies. Also, there's some kind of not so great segments, like the whole water boss, and you can get really lost sometimes with the admittedly really cool world-changing mechanic Alan Wake has. What initially was me just wanting to check out what all this Herald of Darkness nonsense was, got me into my own dark place of months working on this video. But seeing the passion on this project made it honestly kind of worth it. There were bits that legitimately made me uneasy and honestly kind of sad. And there are other bits that had me laughing my ass off.
Oh shit, this coffee is shit. Yako, did you just drink a regular brand coffee? Oh, I did.
The story makes a lot of callbacks to previous Remedy works, but even with my limited knowledge of those, I still follow along well enough. Even if you don't know much or even anything at all about the Alan Wake verse, I still highly recommend this.
To draw me. I'm losing myself. I have to fight it. I have to remember. This place is a nightmare. It feeds on my mind, twisting whatever it takes into psychotic reality. I'm trapped here. I write to escape.
I miss my wife, Tails. I miss her a lot. I'll be back.
The brightest stars fucking burn out the fastest. Holy shit. The more time passes, the more I get pissed off that Tango got sacrificed to the Microsoft blood gods.
This is so corporate.
Anyways, yeah, Hi-Fi Rush. If it was released any other year, it would have been #1, easily. It's one of those games where we need to spend a full day trying to come up with a single flaw. It knew what it wanted to be, and because of that, it's one of the most complete experiences out there. Man, all the villains are fun and have really unique boss fights. Everyone in the main cast is so endearing and works so well with each other. Of course, because his redemption arc was so awesome, but her fucking boss fight was like one of the best ones I've ever experienced. You can use your eyes, you see how good this game looks. You can see how many flourishes they add to the enemies and Chai himself. I don't really have much to say about Hi-Fi Rush because it's just great all around. Every other contender on this list has a low spot or a little annoying aspect that brings it down just a little. I don't know if Hi-Fi Rush has one. It's just a perfect little bundle of action and music.
You're just a bunch of losers.
Maybe so, but together we're unstoppable.
Chai!
Hey, fuck this shit, I'm jerking off.
Pretty rockstar move, Chai.
What do you mean they're coming back? Last year, I proclaimed Elden Ring as the dream game everyone has had as a kid. And while I still believe that beats Baldur's Gate in gameplay, this genuinely is one of the highest quality and most ambitious games of this generation. My first run, I was planning my next 3 runs, and now I'm closing into around 500 hours and I'm still discovering new stuff through it.
Really? What?
It felt less like a video game with set paths and more like a full-on digital sandbox where you can experiment on what's possible. I'll be honest, similar with Metroidvanias, I'm not an RPG guy. Unless it had these guys in it, my childhood self did not care about RPGs.
Don't care.
But thanks to my sister gassing this game up all the way through early access, I decided to give it a shot. But I did not play an RPG game. I played a game version of Dungeons & Dragons. There are no filler grinding fights. Nearly each encounter had unique enemies that felt like it had stakes in the story. There was no novels of text I had to read through, but fully acted characters which felt so easy to connect to. Leveling up felt like a huge event for your party where you get new tools and tricks to try out. Like, dude, you have no idea how happy I was when I got Fireball. Fire! And none of this loses its magic on repeat playthroughs. On my second playthrough, I was ready to burn it all down, raise hell, and be my worst self with a dark urge. Then I met Minthara. I first thought she was going to be the designated bad root character, not caring about your slaughter and going along with whatever. But she quickly became one of my favorite characters, not only because of her banter, but her being one of the most nuanced companions in the game. And then she hit me with this.
What was I when you first knew me? Before you ever knew me. A mad woman, butchering prey in the name of a god who would discard me without a thought once I was no longer of use. If you had killed me when we first met, I would have been just one more casualty of your crusade against the absolute. And nobody would remember me.
Not since Undertale has a game made me feel bad about previous runs. That's how strong this game's writing is. This is a game I will continue to play, think about, and love for most likely the rest of my life. Just because I don't want this to become a 5-hour video, I'll leave it at this. If you, for whatever reason, skipped this because you thought it wasn't for you, this is Game of the Decade material. Ooh, so yeah, that's the game of the year. So why is there more video? Baldur's Gate may be many things, but it's not my favorite game of the year. I fucking forgot to commission the Pizza Tower one. Oh my... Oh! Just do it yourself. Just do it yourself. Wow, you spent all this time to tell us that your favorite game is Pizza Tower, the indie darling of the year? Wow, so original. Could have saved yourself a few months and made this a Twitter thread.
Yeah. Shut up.
Not gonna waste anyone's time by explaining what makes Pizza Tower amazing. It's been discussed to death. Tight level design, buttery movement, inventive power-ups, great humor, and an art style that squash and stretch into our hearts. Oh yeah, more the chicken. So the game's great, but what did this, all this, do to bring it just over the game of the decade in my book? Baldur's Gate is a genre-defining, once-in-a-lifetime 9 out of 10. It's a type of game that tries hundreds and hundreds of things and hits the mark on almost every single one of them. While games like Hi-Fi Rush and Pizza Tower try to hit a few check marks, but hit those check marks hard. These type of scope allow the final products to either make new fans of the game's genre, or make pre-existing fans tout their games as the greatest thing ever and it becomes their obsessions for months on end. And let me tell you, as someone who grew up on 2D platformers, this specific brand of humor, and slapstick cartoons, this game felt like the equivalent of one of those quail traps for my brain. The whole final boss and finale sequence, I'm not exaggerating, I sat in stunned silence, realizing I was experiencing peak fiction. and this feeling never stopped. Going for P ranks are some of the most fun incentives I've worked towards in a video game. It felt great going from a bumbling wet animal let loose on the level into the ultimate paisano on your 10th save file. If I ever had a free afternoon when this game first came out, I would delete one of my 3 101% saves and just run through it all over again. It just gets so much better after each time you launch it. But even all this isn't enough to bring it over Baldur's Gate 3 for me. It just needed a touch more of something. I mean, if only there was a new character based on an 80s pizza mascot. The noise update is one of the best free updates since probably Shovel Knight. It's up there. I felt a little pizza tired out after 100 hours, but the noise felt like a new game plus run. He just has so much freedom and fluidity in his moveset, where he can course correct from mistakes that would end your combo as Peppino. He exudes so much personality, not only in his animation, but the way he subverts and straight up ignores level gimmicks and bosses. If you only ran through Pizza Tower one time, please do yourself a favor and check the noise out. It enhanced the entire experience so much for me. Something about me that is pretty obvious from this video is that the more I enjoy something, the harder it is for me to put it into words why I enjoy it. But Pizza Tower is just a top-notch platformer at the end of the day. It wears its inspirations proudly while building upon them, creating something wholly its own. It took me way too long to say this, but while Baldur's Gate is still my game of the year, Pizza Tower may be my new favorite game, period. Well, that wasn't so bad. And it only took me 10 months! Hit the emergency button! Hey guys, Bullet here. Today I'm talking about the Mr. Beast situation where he sold a bunch of nasty ass cheese to little itty bitty 2-year-olds. And I just think it's a bunch of hawk tua. I can't.